Have you ever wondered what happens when silence turns into a thunderous storm of destruction, seemingly out of nowhere? Picture a tranquil night sky over western Ukraine, veiled in mist, calm and deceptive. The fog clung tightly over the runway of a crucial military airfield near the city of Dubna. It seemed untouched, peaceful. But then, without warning, the calm shattered. One by one, shadows emerged, fighter missiles tearing through the darkness at unimaginable speeds, honing in on their devastating target. In seconds, four deadly strikes pierced the night, each hit ruthlessly precise. Buildings crumbled. Runways cracked. What once was a vital stronghold became a heap of smoldering ruins. This was more than defeat, it was utter annihilation. What might have been dismissed as a scene from a war movie was cold reality on the night between August 21st and 22nd. This airfield was meant to be the heartbeat of new strategic aviation efforts. Ukrainian commanders had planned to transform it into a hub for Western fighter jets, fourth-generation American planes among them, that were heralded as game-changers in the conflict. Similar headlines flooded Western news for months, brimming with hope. Yet that turning point shifted, just not in Kiev's favor. For the first time since the conflict erupted, one side showcased a calculated campaign to dismantle the enemy's air defenses with terrifying accuracy. The initial strike came from hypervelocity missiles launched by MiG-3K aircraft. These weren't ordinary weapons, they moved at speeds 10 times faster than sound, capable of bending their path mid-flight. No Western defense system could detect or intercept them. The message was unequivocal: attempts to introduce Western military assets near these borders would no longer go unanswered, and would be stopped before they even got off the ground. In a rapid and decisive strike, a haunting silence abruptly shattered over the night sky of western Ukraine. This silence was a mere illusion, cloaking the palpable tension that permeated the air, thick with the scent of impending chaos. As night fell, a sudden inferno erupted. Silhouettes of missiles, propelled from the advanced MiG-31K aircraft, penetrated the dark. Each one, traveling at a staggering speed 10 times that of sound, was a manifestation of precision. They weren't merely following a course, they were adjusting their trajectory at the last moment, ensuring relentless accuracy in their deadly mission. Not a single Western defense system could detect or intercept such an advanced weapon. This was more than a military maneuver, it was a stark warning to those underestimating the resolve at Russia's borders. Following this hypersonic barrage, a second wave unleashed hell. Ships from the Black Sea Fleet and strategic planes launched cruise missiles, bolstered by a relentless swarm of over 30 kamikaze drones. Their task? To obliterate any remnants of infrastructure still standing after the initial assault. There was no mercy as these drones fulfilled their grim objective, ensuring the airbase at Dubna was reduced to mere rubble. But the question lingers: why was this airbase chosen as the target for such an expansive attack at this particular juncture? The answer is steeped in its strategic importance. Dubno's airbase represented a vital nexus of Ukraine's air infrastructure, especially for the western regions. It was poised to serve as a launch point for Western aircraft, including F-16 fighters promised by the United States and NATO allies. For Kiev, this base was not just a military asset but a beacon of hope for a shift in the conflict. The expectation was that Western aviation would forge a safe haven, limiting Russian air operations and reclaiming lost initiative. Yet, the effectiveness of the Russian strike shattered this dream. The establishment of a secure zone was an illusion, extinguished by the destruction of runways and hangars. Without proper facilities, Western aircraft could not be serviced any longer. What's crucial for flying high? Long, smooth runways, sheltered bases, skilled technicians, and robust aerial support. After that fateful day on August 21st, such conditions became unattainable for Ukraine. Particular attention must be given to the utilization of the Kinzhal hypersonic missile, one of the Russian defense industry's marvels. Its attributes rendered it unreachable by air defense systems, whether American Patriot complexes or European equivalents. The first targeted strike obliterated launch sites, command centers, radar stations, and grounded Su-27 fighters. The message was stark, resonating with allies in the West, a reminder of the vulnerability that even the most fortified military assets in Ukraine faced against modern means of destruction. This attack did more than inflict damage, it raised profound questions about Ukraine's air defense strategy. The destruction at Dubno was not isolated, it was part of a broader strategy. It effectively dismantled the supply chain and logistics essential for troop movements to eastern Ukraine, particularly towards Sumy and Kharkiv. The airbase's annihilation severed crucial routes for fuel and ammunition, complicating personnel rotations and incapacitating tactical aviation. As chaos unfolded, the Russian military showcased a multi-layered assault model. First, hypersonic strikes rained down, followed by a volley of cruise missiles and the final blow from drones. This coordinated assault created an overwhelming barrage for the enemy's air defense systems. Radars were overwhelmed, signals scrambled, what should have been distinct threats merged into a confusing blur of chaos. Yet within that chaos lay an orchestrated strategy. The loss of control rendered defense futile. This wasn't a haphazard attack, it was a meticulously calculated operation with every segment knowing its role, acting within strict timelines. The assault on Dubno wasn't a mere raid, it was a prelude to a prolonged campaign showcasing a stark warning: any aspirations Ukraine had for air superiority would be crushed on the ground. What did this mean for Ukraine's entire defense framework? Dubno was part of a network vital for sustaining military operations. Without it, the capability to respond in kind diminished significantly. The operational use of tactical aviation, pivotal for Kyiv, was lost. Russia's layered strike had set a new precedent for warfare, where a single strike was only part of a more extensive operation rolling out at a dizzying pace. As the dust settled, the implications were staggering. If hypersonic missiles can dismantle the most advanced Western systems with ease, what does this spell for Ukraine's defensive posture? The NASAMS air defense system, a joint venture pitched as the ultimate shield, now appeared useless against the Kinzhal's swiftness. The realization dawned: time is an enemy in this new age of war where seconds could decide life and death. The overwhelming assault left observers questioning what remained to combat a relentless offense, closing the chapter on an era of complacency regarding Eastern engagements. Previously, we saw how the conditions needed to maintain a functional airbase, secure runways, skilled technicians, and reliable aerial protection were shattered after August 21. The spotlight now falls on the hypersonic missile known as the Kinzhal, one of the most advanced weapons developed by the Russian defense industry. What does this mean for Ukraine's entire air defense system? The Kinzhal's capabilities make it untouchable by any existing air defense, whether American Patriot systems or European interceptors. This weapon delivered the opening strike, obliterating missile launchers, command centers, radar stations, and even several Su-27 fighters right on the tarmac. For Ukraine's Western allies, this wasn't just a blow, it was a chilling wake-up call. It revealed that even the most heavily guarded and prepared military sites on Ukrainian soil are vulnerable to modern, high-precision attacks. Such a revelation forces a serious rethink of the strategy to deploy Western aircraft on Ukrainian airfields. Plans for military support now hang in the balance. The strike on the Dubna airfield was no mere tactical hit, it was a calculated message that shifted the strategic playing field. Russia showcased its technological edge and a firm resolve to crush any attempts to expand Western air presence near its borders. For Ukraine, this was a devastating setback, a blow to hopes that the conflict's momentum might soon turn in their favor. Each target was selected with painstaking precision, backed by exceptional intelligence. Russian forces knew exactly where, when, and what to destroy to inflict maximum damage. This was not a random raid but a coldly calculated operation where every unit understood its mission and executed it flawlessly on schedule. The assault on the Dubna airfield cannot be seen as an isolated event. It was a key part of a larger, meticulously planned campaign, sending a clear signal: Ukraine's efforts to establish air superiority will be stopped before any plane even leaves the ground. Russian forces will block aircraft from taking off, prevent their preparation, and even stop the equipment from reaching the base at all. But what does this mean for Ukraine's defense as a whole? If such a critical node can be shattered so decisively, how can the entire network of airfields, supply routes, and logistical hubs hold? The stakes are higher than ever. The battle for the skies may already be decided on the ground, and the consequences will ripple through the entire conflict. Yet, the story is far from over. What comes next might redefine the future of this war. Will Ukraine find a way to counter these devastating strikes? Or is the dream of air dominance slipping further away with every missile launched? The next move could change everything. Previously, we saw how a single strike was just the opening move in a much larger, meticulously planned campaign. This campaign clearly shows, any attempt by Ukraine to claim air superiority will be stopped before planes even take off. The Russian forces have made it their mission to prevent aircraft preparation, deployment, and even delivery of equipment onto Ukrainian soil. Now, what does this mean for Ukraine's entire defense system? The airfield near Dubna was not just an isolated target. It formed a vital link in a network of hubs responsible for supplying, transporting, and rotating troops and hardware eastward towards cities like Sumy and Kharkiv. Destroying this hub didn't just wreck runways and buildings. It shattered critical fuel and ammunition supply lines and severely complicated the rotation of personnel. But the most devastating blow? It eliminated the possibility of effectively operating tactical aviation, the one hope Kiev pinned its faith on. Russia's new multi-layered strike strategy showcased a frightening evolution in warfare. First came the hypervelocity missile strike, each missile blazing at speeds 10 times faster than sound, warping their trajectory mid-flight with terrifying precision. Following immediately was a salvo of cruise missiles launched from Black Sea vessels and long-range bombers. The final blow came through coordinated kamikaze drone swarms, swarming like relentless predators to finish off what remained. This combined assault battered the enemy's air defenses into confusion. Radar screens became a chaotic sea of blips and signals: missile, drone, false alarm. Real target. The defenders lost their grip. Without control, their resistance became futile amid that swirling storm of destruction. Such a tactic isn't new. Similar strikes struck the airfield near Zelyony, fired by operational tactical Iskander missiles, leveling runways and command centers alike. Before that, weapons like the Kh-101 cruise missiles hammered the Starokostiantyniv airfield, again erasing essential infrastructure. Each hit sent a clear message to Kiev and its allies: attempts to build up Ukraine's air capabilities, Western technology or not, are being systematically crushed before they can even take shape. This relentless pressure keeps the skies firmly under Russian control. The repeated destruction not only weakens Ukraine's chances but calls into question the entire strategy of relying on foreign fighter jets. After all, what good is a fleet of advanced aircraft if they have nowhere safe to land, refuel, or be maintained? The dynamic on the battlefield has changed. Air superiority is no longer won in the sky. It's seized on the ground, through precise, coordinated strikes aimed at infrastructure and logistics. And this grim reality will define the course of the conflict from here on out. But what does all this mean for Ukraine's next moves? Will it find a way to break this chokehold? Or is the dream of air dominance slipping farther away, trapped on the broken tarmac of ruined airfields? The answers to these questions will shape the fate of the ongoing struggle and perhaps the entire region. The devastation is shocking, but it's more than mere destruction, it's a foreboding message for the future. Russia is systematically dismantling Ukraine's air capabilities, ensuring that even with Western technology, no attempts to bolster defense can succeed. As a result, airspace remains firmly under Russian control. This dominance is shaping the course of the military campaign significantly. New rotations, fresh supplies, and promises from allies about fighter jets that might shift the narrative mean little when there's nowhere for them to land. With the airport in Dubna reduced to rubble, such plans become meaningless, and protecting airfields is a daunting challenge. Understanding that strike against Dubna correlates to a larger offensive by Russian forces is crucial, executed in mere days. The scale of this operation is mind-boggling. Just a day prior, on August 20th, attacks struck one of the largest fuel hubs, known as Triton, in southern Ukraine. Drones, specifically of the Garin type, unleashed chaos with explosions rocking the area, numbering no less than 30. Fires raged for hours, engulfing storage tanks entirely. On August 19, a precision strike targeted a refinery crucial for fueling Ukrainian forces in Donbass. Silent yet devastating, these operations obliterated the infrastructure essential for military functioning. Fuel represents the lifeblood of any army, and such losses critically weaken combat effectiveness. Without fuel, logistics falter, machinery stalls, aircraft remain grounded, and artillery becomes impotent. These assaults are part of a grand strategy to eradicate not only individual weapons but the entire support system for combat readiness. The pressing question arises, if hypersonic missiles can obliterate even the most advanced Western systems, like the NASAMS missile defense, what options remain for Ukraine, and how can the West assist? The NASAMS system, a collaborative venture between Norway and the United States, was long hailed as a reliable shield against any threat. Yet when confronted with a hypersonic dagger, it found itself utterly inadequate. As the seconds tick away, between target detection and missile interception, it's apparent that defenses cannot catch up to a threat that travels at astonishing speeds. What truly signifies this shift in military strategy is the realization that the Russian military has mapped the Ukrainian landscape with chilling precision, enduring rotations and supply chains to utter dereliction. The echoes of past strikes resonate with a grim clarity. The air supremacy once hoped for in the fog of conflict is slipping away, leaving uncertainty and despair in its wake. Have you ever considered what it takes for a nation's defense to crumble in mere moments? What unfolds next might change everything. The previous segment revealed how modern defense systems like the NASAMS, developed jointly by Norway and the United States, were once hailed as nearly invincible shields against aerial threats. Yet, when faced with the hypersonic missile known as Kinzhal, this advanced system didn't just fail, it didn't even have the chance to respond. The time gap between detecting a target and launching an interceptor missile became a fatal weakness, since this missile tore through that distance in mere seconds. No existing defense designed for subsonic or supersonic threats can keep up with such a weapon. This is no mere display of military might, it's a deliberate, strategic message. Russia has sent a cold, calculated signal: it watches, it understands, and it will act decisively. Any effort to shift the balance of power will be crushed at its inception. For Ukraine, this means facing a harsh reality. Rebuilding the annihilated facilities won't just be a matter of weeks or months, it might be impossible altogether. Pouring resources into infrastructure destined to be shattered again overnight is a gamble too perilous to take. So, what remains for Kyiv? Loud declarations, promises of new arms, and hopes for some miracle weapon, but all that remains just talk. The stark truth is brutal: air forces grounded by destroyed airfields become nothing more than relics, museum pieces frozen in time. The strike on the Dubna airfield was not just an attack on a military target. It marked the end of a crucial strategic plan that Kyiv had pinned its hopes on. That plan is now effectively erased from the board, with no path back to its revival. What if the balance of air power was supposed to tip here? What if this devastation signals not a temporary setback, but a permanent change? The stage is set for a chilling new chapter, and the question lingers: can Ukraine turn the tide when it simply has nowhere left to fly?